Hello and welcome to my recording, the GM view of Pathfinder Kingmaker. This is the first time I've ever done this. Maybe the last time. This isn't going to be the whole game. This is just going to be pretty much whatever I feel like. So, yeah. Anyway, warnings. Yes. I'm a big fan of Pathfinder. I actually have played the full Kingmaker campaign. I GM'd it, and it took about 2 to 3 years to finish. So I was a big fan of this game. Now, you'll notice this says, first time loading, may take several minutes, please wait. When I read this, I was thinking that meant the very first time it loads ever, but no, it's actually every time you load up the game. So this is kind of a little bit of a problem. The game right now is releasing hot fixes infrequently until October 22nd, and after October 22nd, they're supposed to release a gigantic patch which will hopefully fix some of the issues. I will say this game is not without its issues, but it is a really, really fun game. I bought it 2 days ago, I think, and I have racked up over 30 hours on it. Granted, most of that time has been experimenting with classes and trying to get a character portrait, but still, it's pretty fun. Here it goes, finally. Yeah, now a lot of people, myself included, will probably think the game is froze because it took so long, and we're not used to that kind of a wait time. It hasn't, so just bear with it. Yeah, I was a big fan of the Pathfinder RPG. For a while, I bought every book they released. And, yeah, I probably spent tens of thousands of dollars on the game. But I'm not so much a fan anymore. But we're not here to talk about that. So, the opening is pretty beautiful. Now, be careful because you can click on all the options as it does that little cinematic zoom. So, you might accidentally hit continue or load a game that you didn't want. Now, there is no multiplayer. A lot of people, I think, are kind of wanting that, but I haven't really looked up any news. So when you go in a new game, you're going to be hit right away with a bunch of options. Now, these options were smart for them to put in is the fact that if you were to treat this like a role-playing game, your characters would die pretty quickly with character hits and all this stuff. The critical hits, critical hits, not character hits. They've got them turned on to weak. I like to turn mine on normal. Basically, a critical hit can really kill you. It does ×2 damage. You roll the damage bonus twice and add strength bonus twice. So it's pretty hurtful. Death's Door is pretty cool. Instead of killing you outright the first time, you just get this little buff or debuff, and if you get hit like that again, your character does die. And you can bring them back from the dead, but if your main character dies, the game is over. This one is if you don't want to deal with death at all, you just click that option on. This one I would suggest getting. In a role-playing game, it's kind of fun to have characters deal with negative effects like blindness, deafness, and all that stuff. In a video game, not so much. Auto level up. You can choose just your companions or yourself. I do not recommend this option for yourself. Possibly your companions if you're new. If you have actually some knowledge about role-playing games, I would probably level them up yourself. But that is, again, up to you. This one just adjusts the difficulty class of all enemies. Again, by default, it is somewhat easier. Excuse me. You can turn this up to normal or leave it the same. Damage, again, is a little bit nerfed. We're going to turn that up. Enemy difficulty. I'm not actually going to play, so I don't know why I'm adjusting these options. I'm just going to probably get through character creation and then stop. Starts at normal. This one, if you get overburdened, which is really easy to do for a reason I'm going to talk about here in a minute, you will move slower. I do not recommend this option on ever. Kingdom Management, I actually have just gotten to that part of the game and I haven't played it yet, so I'm not going to speak to that very much. but I will leave it alone usually. This one I like because if your active companions are the only ones that receive experience, they get more experience. So, why waste splitting up experience on characters you're not going to play? This one, take it or leave it. I like my main character to be a little bit higher, or at least my skill characters. So I usually check that. But basically, if somebody disables a trap, only that person gets XP. This one, I don't know why they called it Aslanti. In the game, Aslanti is a race of humans, and they're super powerful humans from a long time ago, and for some reason, this just gives you one save slot. It's kind of weird. Immersive mode turns off a lot of stuff. Now, something they're not going to tell you right here, that they should, somewhere, that I had to find out, which would have saved me some time, is all of these options can be changed once you start playing. I did not know that, and I started over a few times to turn this on or adjust something else that I thought, hey, I'm just going to play like this and it'll be fine, like the auto level up and all that stuff. So don't feel like you're committed right here. You can play a little while and then change it. Although if you do have auto level up on, you won't get those levels back. It is worth mentioning, when you have this on with your companions, or even this, I'm sure, I haven't actually played with that on, but I'm sure it works the same, you can view what's going to happen on the level up. And if you click the back button, you can change that. Now, if you make some choices, the game will warn you that if you change this, the character, for whatever reason, will no longer be able to auto up whatsoever, auto level up. So, it's your choice. So here we go, dive right in. We get portraits. Now these are cool. I'm assuming these portraits, this is actually a point of contention I do not like about this game. I'm assuming these portraits are player portraits. Well, if you create a new character, you get some more portraits. Now what they're not going to tell you right here, and I don't think it's any different if you pick one, but I wouldn't know because I haven't actually picked one of these, like this guy and this guy, for example, slight spoiler alert, not really, are characters in the game with voiced over dialogue. And those are the pictures they use. So it's kind of awkward if you pick this guy and then you talk to this guy. But an option I didn't see right away, which is actually really, really awesome, is this button. When you pick this button, you can open that folder right there to find the source, but you get to add custom pictures. Now you have to have some knowledge of Photoshop because you will have to, or some photo editing program, because you will have to make these PNG files and make them exactly these sizes. But if you can get your own custom portrait, which thank God, because they do not have a lot of choices and they're not very good. And also you don't want to pick someone that's already in the game. Now, I'm going to choose this guy just for the heck of it. Oh. Well, I didn't know that. If you click that, apparently all your choices are already made, so don't click that. I'm going to click that guy's picture here, just for the heck of it. Alright, here we go, getting into it. Humans. It tells you your traits right here. Oh, this is pretty cool. Tooltips, nice. Left hand, right hand, nice style. Not a lot of choices here. But again, like a role-playing game, your miniature's never going to look like your character portrait. So, I'm okay with that. The elves look goofy for me. The heads are way too big for the bodies. You can pick this one, and then the head actually kind of matches the body a little bit. Faces are terrible. The hairstyle for the elves, come on. And what is up with games? Some games and fantasies, elves don't have beards. In Pathfinder, I think they actually have portraits of a few elves with beards, so I'm not sure why that's not an option here for elves, but it's kind of annoying. Anyway, elves, if you're a fan of elves, this game, you might not like it as much because they're really ugly. But again, like I said, these aren't representative of your character as much as portrait. When you're talking cutscenes, portrait's what you see and everything else. Got dwarf, kind of cool. Gnome, I do not like the eyebrows. Nowhere is it written gnomes have to have blood elf eyebrows. That's kind of very annoying. Yeah, so halfling. Kind of looks a little stretched. Not really a fan of the model. I haven't actually played through with a halfling or a gnome because, like I said, I'm not a fan of the eyebrows in the halfling's face. Half orc, on the other hand, excuse me, half orc on the other hand looks pretty cool. They have 4 body types. Their hairstyles are nice. Their skin tones are nice. All in all, I like the half orcs. The half elves are all right. They definitely look more proportionate than the elves correctly. They have cooler hairstyles. They only have one choice of beard, which is a Van Dyke, so that's a little weird. But now the Aasimar is pretty cool. This is heritage. You might not know what this is right here, but this is actually a huge, huge benefit versus most of the other races. All races get a +2 to one ability score. Most of your half races and your human races get to pick that one. With the Aasimar, with the heritage, I'll go ahead and show you guys because I will pick this as my thing. Oh, and again, the hairstyles are pretty cool. The eyes, I wish you could change them, the color, but the eyes are really cool. So, anyway, I'll pick this and show you guys what I'm talking about as we get to it. Now, classes. This I have a bit of a problem with. I like that they added some of these classes. Here's things I like, and here's what I don't like. Let's just start with that. Whenever you pick a class, your outfit is chosen for you. Now, you can pick colors and stuff, which is kind of worthless. But in-game, if you get a gear, it will show up, but it won't override all the outfit stuff. For example, the fighter has this goofy backpack, and that goofy backpack is stuck with him. As far as I know, I haven't gotten any gear yet. I haven't played into the game all the way that far, but I haven't seen anything that makes him remove it. So, I don't, again, this isn't representative of your character as much as a portrait, but it still bothers me. So there's some classes I probably won't play just because of the style of outfit. And it's also worth noting, if you do multi-class, which if you didn't know, you can pick different classes. You're not stuck in this class representation. Say you multi-class Druid Fighter, and then you end up picking more fighter levels than Druid, your outfit magically changes to that of your highest class, and you can't do anything about it. It's kind of annoying. So, another little annoying thing, if you like to cast spells, it tells you all the stuff you get at each level. It doesn't tell you when you get your spells. Like, what level will I get what level spell? As a wizard in this game, if you've played any D&D or Pathfinder, at least the older stuff, 5th level is 3rd level spells. Everybody knows that because Fireball is one of the wizard's favorite spells. But if you pick a sorcerer, it's not 5th level. I think it's 6th. It might even be 7th. I'm not 100% sure that you get the actual. And no, it doesn't tell you there. I was just saying maybe I was wrong. That you get the actual 3rd level spells. Might be something that we want to know when we're picking a magic caster that maybe they should have added with a tooltip or something somewhere in the game. Here's the biggest disappointment for me, kind of. Well, that's kind of major, but I mean, at least in this aspect of the game. These classes down here. Now, they're not telling you, but these are prestige classes. I do not know why they added prestige classes in this game. I was at a panel in Gen Con, and I talked to the creators of Paizo, who personally told me they, and everybody in the room, they don't like prestige classes. They're not a fan of them. They only added them because they were in 3.5. So why devote anything to them? Well, if you never played any role-playing game before, like, and when I say role-playing game, I mean tabletop, you have no idea what these are. Some people might even look at this and go, hey, your game's bug, I can't be an arcane trickster. And they might not have even read the prereq. because it does say I will give them prerequisite. But here's the thing, you have to level up going towards this goal. Minimum level, I think, for the lowest one is you can be 6th level and then start being a Dragon Disciple. Might be lower on some others. I know this for a fact. It looks like, see, on this one, you have to have martial weapon proficiency. You could probably be 5th level on this one as well. But anyway, unless you have the multi-class fighter, which I think you might, so it'd be 6th level before you meet it, 7th level before you can actually be one. But it doesn't tell you what you get. It just gives you a brief little paragraph of flavor text. Now, if I'm picking this, I need to know what it means. Now, when you actually get to where you can level up and select it, and possibly in the game, I'm not sure, I don't think so, it will give you a full list of all the benefits you get. But if I'm wanting to build towards that, I kind of need to know that ahead of time, guys. Because this class sucks, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Arcane Trickster from older editions, but their version sucks. Now, some of the rules they use for this game are from what's called Pathfinder Unchained, which is an attempt to make the game less rules heavy. Oh, that's interesting. This Inquisitor doesn't have a hat. Look, if I go back and I pick human, I get a goofy hat. I didn't know the gear is different. That's only for the Aasimar. Huh. That is bizarre. I don't know why that would be. Anyway. Wait, did that change my cape color? No, it just jerked. Okay. So, class, like I said, there's some things they could do better. They do have these alternates here. Now, they change things. So, if you pick, for example, a druid, and you want to be a Fey speaker, you're going to lose your elemental shapes, and you're going to lose your alignment restriction, which is actually kind of cool. And I believe you lose, oh no, some other stuff gets moved to, you get it higher up. You get this instead, these extra spells, but they don't flat out tell you this. You have to actually mouse over it. That's kind of annoying. I mean, we could get a tooltip right here, or right click, which doesn't seem to work on that. Works on this, brings up a whole box that says this is what changes if you be a Fey speaker. In the actual books, it does say this feat replaces this replaces this, so you know up front what you're losing. But in this game, it doesn't tell you that anywhere. So anyway, we're going to be a druid for this. Now here's the heritage thing, and this is what's cool. When you pick your heritage, you notice it says flavor text, the bottom, +2 on wisdom and charisma, +2 on diplomacy and perception. By the way, I'm not a power gamer. I love flavor text, but for a video game and for the purposes of this video, not really helpful in this case. So, if I go down, strength and charisma, intelligence and charisma, and the skills change too. Constitution and wisdom, dexterity and charisma, and dexterity and wisdom. Making this race, in my opinion, one of the most overpowered and best races to play in the game, because you get to pick 2+2s and you put them where you want them. Not to mention, being an Aasimar gives you damage resistance and the ability to create a little halo of light around your head as many times as you want. What the heck? This is pretty overpowered. Where was the tiefling? That's what I want to know. You can't be a tiefling. So, pick my heritage. Animal companions. Cool. In-game, it's a little weird. I can get into that right now, though. But I understand you can't get a plethora of choices. But a dog, I mean, and a leopard, a centipede. Where's a bear, a boar? I mean, I guess they have everything, but what about a horse? I don't know. To me, I feel like some basic animals are missing from this list. I just can't put my finger on what they are right now. And I don't know exactly what this little thing off to the right is, where they have different pictures, like why that is. There's not really an explanation of it. Now, the animals, this is kind of a cool thing. They will change size with you as you level up. Your animals get bigger. I don't see this really written anywhere. This is kind of falling under the thing of the spells, where they don't really tell you what you're going to get per level with an animal companion. So that also needs a bit of work. Now, they don't tell you anything also, this is something else, about spells, which I had kind of already said, but in the same facet that, hey, I'm getting spells, how am I preparing these spells? Because that is a big, huge thing, and I know I'm going back and forth here, but this is really important if you're a caster. As a druid, you don't prepare spells. You can pick any spell on the druid list at any time, but you get a limited number of uses. So, for example, if I wanted to cast Cure Light Wounds as a druid 2 times in one day, I have to prepare that spell 2 times. Not coming into this, and most people who buy this game will come into this, with tabletop role-playing experience or an experience with another CRPG with this aspect, like Pillars of Eternity, you're not going to know that. So you might only go, why can't I cast this spell? A wizard, to me, really suffers in this game because I just don't think anyone can really do this prepping stuff, spell prep, correctly. It just doesn't translate to video game that well. Sorcerer's much better choice if you're into arcane casting, even though you will have to wait for higher levels. I personally prefer wizard usually because you get, and this is weird too, see? Going back to the race screen, my hairstyles say they're the same and everything, but they're clearly different. That is weird. God, I birdwalk all the time. Where was I? Yes, so the cool thing about the wizard, you can learn every spell in the game and put it in your spell book, which is nice, but you don't get very many spells per day to be able to cast it. And the resting mechanic is kind of not cool. You get to choose specialty as a wizard. I guess we're going wizard now. Get to choose this. I always choose Arcane Bond. And here we go. Stats. Important? Yes. Do they tell you about it? They give you this little green thing, which you're supposed to, I guess, automatically know. Hey, this is your most important stat right here. They don't really tell you what this green thing means, but I guess they were counting on it. They don't tell you over here, but this means you get a +3 because it's a class skill. If you mouse over, it will tell you, after you put a rank in it, this is a class skill. That's where your +3 comes from. Trained only, like trickery and the knowledges, means you can't even attempt this without putting a rank in it. So anything that's not trained only, you can pretty much leave blank if you want to try to get an all-around character. Your saves down here are really important, and I do like how they break down everything and give you, hey, this is where this bonus is coming from, this is where this is coming from. That's pretty nice. Next, choose abilities. Now, this is a bit weird because it says non-recommended feature. Class ability is the most useful ability for characters of corresponding classes. It affects skill checks and modifiers of the character. One class may have several class abilities. It is advised to concentrate on developing these primarily. Well, that doesn't tell me why. That, to me, when I read that, that sounds like I need to pick these. And sometimes the ones they put in this list, and it's weird because I've had the same character, and I guess it's stat dependent kind of, because I've had a wizard and they've recommended things like point blank shot, which they have here, but then I've made another build where it's been on this red list. So I don't really understand that, but I ignore that anyway. For you first timers, that might be kind of a bit disconcerting because you're gonna go, I picked the green one, that should be good. That's not always the case. I suggest you just read through look up what you don't understand, although there's not a lot of information on this game on the internet. Most people are just referring you to the open source material from the role-playing game, which works for some stuff, but not necessarily all of it. And you don't want to read through all the extra stuff that's not even in this game to find what you want. But some of these, like spell focus, it only works for certain class of spells. It is not one I would put a green dot next to. As a wizard, I would put a green dot next to dodge and toughness almost 100% of the time, which affects your armor class and hit points. And they don't do that. So again, read through them. Point blank shot is really good to take as a wizard because it's a prerequisite for a feat called precise shot. And if you don't know, when you fire into melee, precise shot gives you a -4 to hit. Or without precise shot, you're at a -4 to hit. When you take precise shot, you lose that. Also, point blank is good because it doesn't talk about prerequisite feats in here either. But that's not important. That's just something else. Point blank also gives you damage bonus and attack bonus, so it's really good to take. Combat casting is also one you really want to take. If you get attacked, they make a check. If you fail that check, you lose the spell. And I mean you lose it. So you lose it for the day if it's only one of your few precious prepared ones. This gives you combat casting a +4. So take combat casting if you're going to pick a thing, user. Now here's cool. They do list all the spells available. Nice. They don't tell you, again, how many spells you get per day right here. I believe they do tell you that on the class screen over there, but they don't let you pick what spells you want to start with prepped. I don't know how they choose. It's seemingly random to me. But we'll just pick a few. Snowball. What was that one? No, I don't want Ray of Enfeeblement. At first, it's going to seem like, I don't want that. I want it to go away. If you need to change it, click it, and then click what you want instead, and it will replace it. Alright, next, you get to pick, and I don't know why you can pick your sex again right here. Does that change the model? No. That's interesting. Maybe it's if you identify as, I don't know. You get to pick a voice. The voice is I don't have any sound on this. I'm not going to turn it on for this. They're pretty decent, actually. Some of them are a little cheesy, but I like them. I like the fact that you get to pick a birthday. I don't know that it has any significance in the game because I haven't really paid attention to the days when I play yet. I love that you get to pick your alignment. And I have noticed in the game that choices you make, just like most modern day RPG video games, do affect your alignment. Now, for some classes, such as Druid, a Druid must remain neutral or you lose your powers unless you pick that one without alignment restriction. So if you were to ever drift, like say you picked Chaotic Neutral, which is an all-time favorite for most people, if you're not sure what you want to be, don't pick neutral, pick Chaotic Neutral, because that means basically there's no rhyme or reason to anything you do. You may be good one day, bad the next, happy 1 minute, sad the next. Not necessarily bipolar, but Chaotic Neutral is kind of freedom to me. I like Neutral Evil or Chaotic Good. Those are my favorites. Chaotic Neutral is also one I do fall on usually. But anyway, if I were to pick this as a Druid, and then I constantly picked evil choices and fell down to this category, I would lose all my powers. Now, I don't know if there's companions leave you or things like that in the game based on your alignment, but that would be kind of cool. I do like the fact that they included the alignment and they have a nice little blurb about what alignment is. That's pretty nice. And then you kind of get a chance to go over stuff before you click, yes, this is what I want. I've never really stared at this screen for very long, so I was just checking to make sure there was nothing I missed. And then you can complete your character. Now, that's going to be most of it for right now. I will say that something that is kind of disappointing about the rests in this game. Oh my gosh. And here's, you get to experience a bug with me. Look, it's froze. Oh no, no it's not. Okay, phew, I was afraid. There has been a crashing bug on this game. It's a lovely game. It just really needs to be worked on. I suggest you don't get it. Oh, my dog just opened the door until after October 22nd. But it is worth playing. Anyway, so when you rest in this game, I don't know if I can get to that screen right now. You will have to have rations. Now, rations in the role-playing game weigh 1 pound. For some reason, in this game, they decided to make them weigh 10 pounds. You have to have one ration per person in your party. That is really freaking heavy. Okay? Now, and no, they won't let me camp here or show you the ration thing. Now, when I go out and you camp in the wilderness, you can assign some characters to hunt, and they will gather rations, and you don't have to use your rations. That's nice, but when you're in a dungeon, you have to use rations. So you can't just not carry rations and go, well, it'll be okay because I'll hunt, because when you go in the dungeon, and you never know when you're going to go in a dungeon, you don't know how much you're going to need. So if I have a full party of 6, we're talking 60 pounds of rations right there. If I want to rest more than once in a dungeon, which as a wizard, you can't read new spells unless you rest, I'm going to need to carry 120 pounds worth of frickin' rations. Throughout the game, you get stuff that is that's funny, is food. Like, you'll get honey, its ingredients. There's a position when you camp called cook, and you're thinking, okay, cool. So when I was out camping, I was out of rations. I'm in the dungeon, and I want to rest. And it says, you're out of rations. Like, oh, no problem. I got food. I'll just have somebody cook something. I even got recipes. Well, cooking does not substitute rations. What the hell is the point of cooking? It gives you a buff. It's like they were trying to copy Final Fantasy 15. Makes no sense why we have a position of cook at all if it can't count for the food. So at that point, I stopped carrying ingredients around, because without any ingredients, you can make a meal that gives you a buff called Hearty Meal. There's probably a recipe out there that buffs XP, and that would be worth making, but I don't really care. I'm so pissed about food not counting as food. Come on, it's food. But we're going to wrap it up there. This has been GM's View, and this is Evil GM. You guys have a great day.